Hello, guys. Hello. I'm Gray. This is Trev. As we have now, as you'll be aware by now, we have changed. We have slightly changed the name. Well, not slightly. We've slightly changed the name of channel to encompass more quality content. We were the Trek Web before. We are now Capes and Phasers. Thanks to our friend Jansen for that great name. Cheesy, but I found it amusing. I liked it.
Well, there's
the
good
reason
cheesy
being,
and bad cheesy. This is the good cheesy.
it's good cheesy, yeah, and it just sticks. We all like it. So credit to him. Won't go spend too much time in that. Basically, Gray and I, Star Trek will always be our favourite show, and that will get more of the limelight on here, as it always will. It's our number one show, quite right. But our other passions that we love as well. We love other sci-fi shows. We love other superhero type shows as well. And the idea is just to expand the content so that, you know, as Gray was demonstrating behind you there's a massive Tyler Hoechlin behind you, like huge Tyler Hoechlin, handsome chap. He's literally coming for you, Gray. It'll take him a while. He's old now. It'll take him a while to get to you. So I'm lost there. I really hope he put on deodorant this morning, Superman, because she is right under that armpit there, man.
Yeah.
So as I say, Star Trek will be our first main passion, but as Lord X is kind of winding up, we wanted to discuss one of our other favourite top shows, and it was just the finale. We've just literally finished watching the finale of Superman and Lois, season 4, episode 10. Titled "It Went By So Fast," which was a brilliant title name. Great, wow. Where do we start with this one? Generally, initially, did it meet or beat expectations for you?
I think it beat expectations, because to be honest with you, I don't know what expectations I was going into it. I didn't want to hear anything. I didn't want to hear any spoilers. I know stuff's being posted all over the internet, everybody's opinions, but I didn't read any single one of them. I had ideas in my head of what I think might happen, but to be honest with you, not knowing to this extent was perfect for this show, because you didn't want to know. So I really enjoyed it, and it's not it. By the way, if anybody is wondering about spoilers, well, too bad we just saw it. So if you don't want spoilers, then you need to tune out. But in any case,
come back once you've watched it.
Exactly. Come back and watch this when you watch that. So one of the big things that we're going across all the internet is how many guest stars are going to be in the last episode. They got to have this, and there was names all over the place. Supergirl. What else? They said
I'm glad that didn't happen, Gray, because she's on a different Earth thing. It wouldn't have worked unless it was in his dreams at the end,
Even that wouldn't have worked.
He's supposed to have forgotten about all them since the world's all separated. Because remember, he had one kid at the start of Supergirl, and then he's flying through there, and then she's like, "Listen, Lois says that. Listen, I've got a problem with the boys," and he's like, "Boys, like plural?" Yeah. And so he's surprised. So like, she shouldn't have been in it. None of these other people from the other world should have been in it. As cool as it would have been. So I'm kind of glad in a way they didn't do that.
I also like the idea that, generally speaking, the whole series, the 4 seasons it was on, really, there was only very few heroes, really. Because it was such a Superman Lois centric program. Yeah. So Superman was the main hero, and there's only a couple others, like Henry Irons that played Steel, and the daughter, and maybe Sam Lang and a couple others. But otherwise, there really wasn't a lot of heroes, which is good, because all the attention could be paid to what was supposed to be, the way it was supposed to be. He is the main hero on that show. I think Sam Lane said that in season 2, where they had the 2 Earths, Bizarro and all that, and it's like he's the only, and that's when they confirmed that the worlds had separated for sure. They just put it into canon. He's the only superhero of his kind, or I'm paraphrasing, on this planet. He always finds a way, blah blah blah, and he did. We'll briefly just go through the episode. Like, we didn't take any notes. It's a very raw reaction on purpose. So, as I thought, it's only 42 minutes long. It's a network TV show still, which is a rare thing of a show like this these days.
So they had to stick to 42 minutes. If it had been a Netflix, you would have probably got longer. That's the good thing about, one of the few good things about the modern streaming platforms, Gray. While we get less episodes, we tend to get higher budget, and we tend to get like hour-long episodes, or forever. Disney are a good example. They'll maybe, on one opposite, they'll only be half an hour for a show. On the other end, they'll be an hour. It depends. They'll use how long they need to tell the story, which I'm okay with. But then Superman and Lois is only, they copy the idea of streaming with only 10 episodes. So they're kind of cheating a little bit. So we thought, 42 minutes, I'm not surprised. And I knew this would happen, Gray, and I'm sure you'd be the same, that they had to wrap things up in a good way. So the first half of the episode was the fight with Doomsday and Lex. And then the second half was winding things down, literally, and tying off loose ends and all that stuff. So the first half, we literally start with where we left off in the last episode, the fight with Doomsday, and Superman is getting his ass absolutely handed to him, as you expect. The boys come in, Jordan and Jonathan, and save their old man. He gets a bit pissed. But Lois, the mum, steps in and is like, listen, they're here to save you now. Like, you know, that you're a team, they're not kids now. And I think he reluctantly accepts it. He said, listen, I've got a plan, though. I've got a plan. He said, listen, we're going to take him up to the sun. But before he actually takes him to the sun, you've got what's your man, John Irons, literally using his super hammer. He's still got that left.
Got the hammer, right?
Because Milton didn't have that. He still had the hammer. Throws the hammer as Doomsday comes from Superman, knocking him out. And that he was working with his kids for that as teamwork, which I liked. And then before he literally recovers, because you know he will always come back, Doomsday. That's when Clark says, "I'm taking him to the sun." And that's when I said to you, Gray, you were like, I knew that would happen. I thought that's how they're going to do it. And you're like, no, that won't work. That won't work. But then forgetting for a moment that underneath all that, he is Bizarro, and that Earth sun makes him a bit weaker. So literally throwing him in there in theory should work. So he does take him up there. And we'll talk about that for a moment or two, Gray. He takes him up to the sun quickly, and just before he's about to regain consciousness, just as they're approaching the sun, Doomsday wakes up. And as Clark's about to push him in, his eyes, Bizarro's eyes, come back, the glow that comes back instead of the rage eyes. And he kind of puts his hand as if to say, like, stop. And then Clark just stops and looks at him. And immediately, Gray, I felt sad. I don't want him to die like that. That was such a sad way to go. I thought he was going to sacrifice himself anyway, right? He said, no, stop. I'll literally won't fight you anymore. I'll go into the sun. And he does, and he kind of disintegrates. But I said to you, Gray, he's going to die anyway. Why don't you give your heart? Because it is Superman's heart. It's just Bizarro. Underneath his heart is still there. Rip out your heart, give it to him. He's going to die anyway. I thought that would have been cool. Clark could have lived a lot longer. So just your opinion on my theory and your opinion in that moment, what you're thinking and feeling.
To step back a little bit, the scene where Doomsday was fighting Superman and they thought about throwing the hammer at him, I thought that whole sequence was great. You can see where they saved the money, you know. And you didn't even. Well, here's the good thing about it: the whole season, you didn't even for once think about how they were saving money because it was so well done. But in any case, you know, they're going to blow more money at the end on what they needed. But anyway, the whole slow motion scene was great because you see Superman just backing out from a punch, and you see this big freaking Doomsday fist, huge, just, you know, slowly missing him, and he's backing off.
Who's quicker though, Gray? Him or Neo from the Matrix? Who could dodge it better though?
Nah, Superman's always going to be faster. Hell, Superman apparently is a little faster than Doomsday because he's not used to moving around like
that's a good point.
I mean, yeah, you know, Superman has to use all his expertise in certain things. But anyway, so, when he threw the hammer, though, I thought that was great because the scene was perfect. You just see this hammer just like,
dead.
Man, if it wasn't PG or whatever, you would have seen it like it buried in his head.
But Mortal Kombat style. Finish him. Okay.
Exactly.
It's safe to say he was dead then, at least for a few minutes. He was dead. They killed him.
Right. The problem is he'll regenerate and et cetera, et cetera. So that's why Superman
would be immune to the hammer.
Yeah. I didn't think about the sun being a weakness to him because I forgot about him being Bizarro originally. So then it made sense. So when he took off, like it was funny because both you and I are going, "What are you waiting for? Like, go! He's gonna wake up."
But quiet, yes, go! He's waking up.
You have to have your dramatic moments. So
yeah, you do.
So that was kind of cool, and I really wasn't quite expecting the Doomsday to put his hand up and know that this is it because he wants. As much as Doomsday was, what he was, which also, by the way, is very
Bizarro's still in there. Bizarro's still in there somewhere.
Right. And I really like the look of Doomsday because it was very comics accurate. Because I read the books when they came out when Superman died many years ago.
And why did that happen? From the last episode where Lex kills him one last time with those kryptonite bolts that go into him, and that killed him one last time to turn him into his final form of Doomsday.
Right. So that was kind of neat. And even some of the fight scenes of them fighting a little bit were reminiscent of what the comic book had. So I really like the way they kind of went back to the source material and tried to, do what they could. Even previous in the season when you saw the torn cape, and it was like blowing in the wind. And that's exactly from the comic book. Exactly.
Yeah,
I really like the way they kind of honored, unlike a lot of things today, they honored the source material and yes, they had to change certain things or do certain things their way. But
that's okay, Gray, isn't it? As a side tangent, it's okay to adapt things for TV if you do it the right way. But remember canon and remember source material, and don't piss all it because we're big Star Trek fans and they ruin that a lot in this modern day and age. But on it, you can do different things. Your adaptation, like for example, Doomsday isn't your traditional Doomsday. He's Bizarro with that weakness of our son. But he's turned in from a cool character from Bizarro into a cool character that's Doomsday, and it still works because they honor a lot of the source material, don't they?
But I did feel very sorry for the character when that happened because it wasn't
I didn't want him to die.
No, I thought Superman was just gonna like give him one punch and he's gonna die that way or whatever. But it made it. There was a lot more emotion involved when he finally just said, okay, we don't have to fight, just. Give me a little nudge and I'm good. And that's all he did. And I know Superman hated doing it because he could see it in his eyes, but he had to do it. That's what his wish was. So
he'll go back to being a rage monster because that's what he's got all this hate built into him. He can't help it. He had a moment of clarity as Bizarro to go, stop, I know, you have to kill me. It's the only way. But what's your theory on why didn't he give his heart to him? He is Superman as well, effectively.
I don't think the heart would have worked because the original heart was ripped out and dead. I mean, it was gone. So Doomsday has his own heart, which would be a Superman heart, but he's a Bizarro. So the heart is not going to work. It's going to work to the opposite.
It's still a Kryptonian heart, though. It's just a different sun effect.
Yeah.
And that's the cells. It's not the heart as such. I mean, I'm getting technical, I know.
Yeah, but you got to think that if he's from another dimension, which is totally opposite, and things happen totally different, it's quite likely the heart would just end up getting rejected or whatever. All kinds of other problems. So,
other than Sam Lane's.
Well, yeah, but remember, Sam Lane took the injection, so it was able to at least get it to where he could live a little longer. I mean, I like the whole way we could always go back and say like, well, it's bad that Superman, actually aged and passed eventually or whatever. But on the other hand, though, they really did it the right way because the whole program from the very beginning was all about Superman, Lois, and their family. That's what it was. It was their family. It was Smallville. It was blah, blah, blah. So from a family aspect, they did exactly the right thing. And I was really happy that they didn't bring in any other superhero people to guest star or whatever. I think it would have ruined it. They did the right thing.
So you're not buying the whole give him the heart situation because I mean, we can maybe get to that later on as well when we touch the later half. In fact, we'll probably do that because it makes sense for how I wanted to see things pan out. But anyway, right? So let's say Doomsday, he just lets Clark give him a little gentle nudge, and that was enough for the sun's gravity well to capture him and take him in, and he just started disintegrating. Now, that didn't happen to Clark in season 2 because while it was close to happening, you could see him breaking up ever so slightly, a bit like Barry Allen the Flash in certain scenes, if you remember that, where he kind of starts disintegrating. But then that's when he lost his powers, you remember, Clark?
Yeah.
And then he gets them back at the same time because he's right in the sun. Because Bizarro is weak to that sun, it was too much for him, and it killed him. It disintegrated him literally, and I was very sad. I was like, I didn't want to see him go like that, but it was probably the best thing to do. So, this is happening. Your man Lex in the steel suit is going after the boys, the super boys, who do save the day a little bit by saving the pilot and the passenger of a crashing helicopter that Doomsday kind of took out. And they're young and inexperienced, but they forget about the bloody helicopter that's coming down crashing towards their mother. She thankfully ducks behind a pillar and is very close to getting decapitated, but they saved the day that way at least, which is good. And then obviously there's a confrontation between Lex and Lois, and Lois does what any good mother does and steps in to protect her kids, because Lex literally has the hand on Jonathan's throat, and it's not looking good because he's a lot stronger with that suit on. But she's like, okay, right, it's me you want, like, just come and kill me then. He's about to, like, okay, I will kill you then. It's time to die, Lois. But obviously Clark hears that from space and then super speed. You never seen someone fly that quick before. Yeah. He's recharged. The sun recharged him. Gray and I mentioned we didn't know if that would work. I thought it would work because his powers are slowly diminishing. But if he gets his powers from nothing in season 2, then I knew that would, at least for now, get him back to... I'd imagine he's doing more regular trips to the sun for top up, man, in his old age.
I was thinking that just as you started thinking it, because I assumed that when he got older, he had to run up there a lot more often to get recharged to help out. But this time he has his son, so that was cool.
Ooh, that helps. It's the whole thing. Like, he's going away for a romantic weekend 10 years later with Lois. The man wants to be able to do what a man wants to be able to do with his wife. Oh, wait a minute, I'm a bit exhausted. I'll fly up to the sun. We'll be good for the weekend in Tal's villa. If you remember his brother, Tal, they've got that villa that they keep going to. So Clark comes down and takes him out. And then this is the bit, the cool... It always had to end with a fight scene between those two. Lex does use the suit to... I mean, we can't forget that there was a little prototype, kind of little, like, mine that John Henry gave to Lois, and that's when she uses, as Lex is coming towards her in the suit, she uses the device, puts it on his suit, and it blows up a little bit and damages the suit. And I was like, why did you waste it on him? I thought it was going to be for Doomsday, but it does enough damage temporarily, at least, that he flies away. But then there's a fight scene between Lex and Clark, and I know it was good because Milton, the guy controlling the suit remotely, Milton comes from the comics as Brainiac, or that's one version of Brainiac that starts from, and you were seeing the green skulls in the background on his screensaver. It was just a little hint. They don't tell you, Gray, but that would like to think that he would maybe go on to be a version of Brainiac. And he is the one that upgrades the suit with the kryptonite screws. And they look genius weapons, mate. So the idea being, you fire these screws, the little missiles, they hit into Clark. I'm surprised he didn't fly out of the way, actually, of these things. But anyway, nitpicking. The screws go in, and what they do is they start boring in. And they're boring in towards his heart. And you see Clark will use his X-ray vision, like, oh shit, that's about to hit my old man heart. And he does get it out in time. What did you make of that fight scene and the screws and stuff, and just how he was taking them on? I thought it was cool.
Wasn't expecting that type of a weapon, but which is pretty cool, actually.
It's smart.
I kind of wondered, well, is he going to pull it out in time or what? And but as we saw, it took everything he had, but he wasn't gonna go down without a fight. So he just started yanking them out. I also think that they don't say this, but I assumed a little bit that one of the advantages to the human heart is that it probably gave him some resistance to kryptonite because it doesn't bother human. So at least enough where he was able to pull them out, and stuff. So that was cool, and he had to pull one out of his shoulder too because it burrowed right into his shoulder and stuff. What did you make of the fight? Were you a fan? I thought
It was a cool
the fight
fight.
was great. I thought was funny was when he was on when Luther was on the ground and getting ready to like kill Lois, and he says like, "Well, what are you going to do?" And she says, "I'm not going to do anything, but he will." She points to the sky, and all of a sudden, boom.
Do you think he was holding back? I mean, in paper, before you answer, on paper, I don't think he was. Sorry, I think he was holding back, because even a Superman like him, a full thrown punch would have
killed him.
absolutely disintegrated everything about him. We see that at the end. So the fight scene, Clark's just literally bang, bang. I'll stay away from my family, smashing him. I thought he was holding back then, but then bear in mind, Lex's suit is damaged now, which is a bit more of a fairer fight. I still think a full strength Superman against a full strength suit. He did say, Clark, in previous episodes, that I was just enough to beat that suit. That's how advanced this suit is. And he smashes the suit. And then he goes, they see the thing from the trailer where they fly at each other. And Lex says, "Why won't you die?" And then Clark pulls that big punch back while he's flying. It looks, that would be great as a screensaver, as a wallpaper. You could literally see the sonic boom type effect of the air separating around his body and the fist. And then he goes in for the punch.
And they were fighting in the thunderstorm, which really made it a nice backdrop.
Which added to the visual effect. And that punch, right? Remember they done this in season 2, where Clark separates the two Earths by flying so fast around the planet. He comes down with enough speed, and the punch into the planet, he wasn't holding back then, separates the two worlds. Right. I want your opinion now if he was holding back or not, because I reckon he was close to the full punch, or if not the full punch, because he puts enough power in without killing him to then disintegrate the suit so much it literally breaks the suit apart around Lex. The suit disintegrates. Lex's face is like, the slow motion wobbling effect when you've been punched. It was like, Lex is going towards the ground like a dart. Clark, of course, catches him before he hits the ground, because he's better than that, and stops him dying. What was was he holding back?
No, I think he definitely was holding back, but it was calculated. In other words, he wanted to get his rage out, so he knew how many times he could hit him, obviously, and so he did, and he hit him quite a few times while he was going, "This is for my son, and this is for my other son, and this is for my wife," kind of thing. Bam, bam, bam. And then when he hit the suit and it disintegrated, he definitely had figured something out, and basically figured out what he could do with his punch and what would happen.
How was that scene? Both of us are like, wow.
I was not expecting that one at all. I just thought maybe you would have like a big old dent or rip, or the suit came apart, or, like ripped or something, and that was about it. This whole thing just freaking disintegrated. And in slow motion, it looked great. It just goes in a bunch of little pieces, and it's just like, it's gone.
It was cool. It was very, very neat. There was several episodes. See, the thing is, they haven't used a lot of CGI in this season. They were saving it for the last couple of episodes because they knew they needed the budget. And as I said to Gray, we didn't cover this, but episode 7 was probably the best episode of the whole run of Superman. I can't remember the title. That's the one where he reveals his identity.
Mm-hmm.
And there was no special effects in that, I don't think, at all. Very little. Right. You just see him in the suit for a minute, and that's it. That shows you that filler episodes can be done, and done well, if you're saving budget, because story is key and paramount to this. And they done such a good job of that episode. They were able to save the budget for the end, and it was phenomenal. Because that's a very expensive show. The CW didn't want to keep that around. It cost them a lot of money to make that. They made big sacrifices for this season.
Oh, they got 3 episodes to make it too.
Yeah. Well, it started at 15 at the start, mate. So they've cut it down and down. Several of the regular cast didn't come back. They cut down the CGI, and they still made it work.
Yep.
See, Warner Brothers, Paramount, everyone else out there, this is how you do Disney. I'm looking at you, Disney, at the back. This is how you do it. Yeah. And we'll be able to talk more in Capes and Phases about this kind of thing, because Disney is it's got Marvel on it, of course, and Warner Brothers, and indeed do as well, and they cover DC.
Star Wars.
Star Wars. I mean, maybe we'll talk about as much Star Wars. We'll see. Star Trek. Anyway, leave that. Put that to side. Anyway, so that ends the first half of the episode, Greg. Very well done. I knew they would do that because they had to tie things up. And basically, the second half is, oh wow, tying things up.
Kind of a love letter to the fans and everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
there was a marriage there between Lana and John Henry,
Yep.
and that was lovely. Isles having a second kid, it's all happening. That was 1 year later, and slowly but surely they're getting older. The boys get their suit that we saw leaked. There is a book that was leaked weeks ago that was coming out today or something of the run of Superman and Lois, and it showed the boys in their suits. He's at the fortress making them suits. They look cool.
Yeah.
The boys are literally going to take on his mantle going forward. And it was idyllic. It was really, really well done, Gray. Although, right, okay, we'll be honest, it wasn't bad, but I didn't like the way it ended because Lois dies of cancer. Again, it comes back. He couldn't fight it this time. He could never fight it first time around, Clark. And she passes away. He's getting older. You see the boys as adults with grandkids and stuff as well. He's lonely.
A lot of grandkids.
He gets a dog called Crypto, which was sweet. It was a lovely one for the fans. No powers. It's just named Crypto, a normal golden retriever.
Right.
And I think that's why I think Coco was getting upset in the background there, Greg, because she must have got a bit jealous about Crypto.
Maybe I should change your name, Coco Crypto.
Yeah, Crypto. Yeah, maybe. So Lois dies. He's sad. And then he himself, Clark, eventually dies because the heart just gives out. And he's surrounded by his family. You see the ghost of him get up and walk and see all the people that he loved and all that. And he said it's wonderful. I mean, okay, great. It's sweet. It's lovely. I thought this might happen. I didn't want it to happen like that. And Greg, you did say, well, this is a family show and all that. But yes, but first and foremost, it's a Superman show. And Superman, well, no one knows for sure because there's so many versions in canon. We don't know how long he's supposed to live for. Some people say he's immortal, potentially, or close to it. Some people say he could just live hundreds of years. Depends what you look at. He should have lived a lot longer if he'd had his normal heart. That's why I was saying to you before, Gray, I wanted him to have, because he was lonely, right? Hear me out. He was lonely. He got the dog. I was hoping that he would have got Doomsday's heart so that he could have went on saving the world to give him something to do. You know, it's like a lot of heartache. Throwing yourself into your passion or your job sometimes help people, Gray, right? I thought that might have helped for him. I thought he would have maybe been all-star Superman by flying into the sun, and somehow that was enough to recharge his heart, give him his powers back. I didn't want to see the man grow old and die like a normal human being because, Gray, guess what? He's not a human being. He's got a human part. He's not a human being. He's Superman. I didn't want to see it end like that. It's a damn bloody shame. It's not bad. I'm not saying it's bad, my man. I'm not. I'm just really like that. Give me your thoughts, man.
Well, you had said it before, and in the comics when I used to read them, they redesigned Superman many times over with different, whatever. He met Lois, and you notice every time they reinvent him, of course, they're always the same age. But that's the comics, right? So if Superman's, let's say for argument's sake, was 38 years old or something or whatever, so was Lois, all of a sudden 10 years go by and they're still that age, and then 20 years goes by and they're still that age. And but I think in this one, like I said, since it was always designed to be on a series of family, Smallville, being together and all the dynamics that look, I don't think there's anything in any of the comic books that ever had Superman having twins, and stuff. So this was something different.
Because he's always supposed to have one kid, I think, is it not?
In the comic book, there's always been, most of the time he has none. He has zero. There was times where they said that, unfortunately,
he's not supposed to be able to have kids, technically.
Exactly,
really, so.
Right, exactly. But you remember Lois even said in the series, she said when his Kryptonian mother's computer image, whatever, he said, well, your mother's been wrong before. She said we couldn't have kids. He's like, well, yeah, that's true. So I think I get your point, and I do feel like that in some ways. But then again, knowing how the show was and how it went with family and how it actually involved real life things, coming into it, and they were able to handle it very well. I mean, the whole scene with Lois, getting the cancer again really hit hard with me because, and not everybody else does. My wife had passed some cancer. So
Yep.
I was already crying at that point when they showed that, but they didn't want to sugarcoat. They just said, look, she had it, she got over it, she lived a decent life, and then that was it.
Came back after such a long time, and I'm not saying that's not possible. Of course,
Yeah.
it is great, but usually you don't go decades later, then it comes back. You usually know by then you're going to be okay.
Yeah, but I've learned enough about it through what I went through.
It's possible.
Anything's possible. Yep, with that when it comes to that. But the thing is, he also said though, or the Superman said during this thing at the end, he said that he lived 32 more years. So that means that he was looking like 38, 40 maybe. So that means he made it all the way to 72.
To the age that Sam would have been with his heart. I think that's what they were saying. That was the whole point.
So he made it to like 72 or whatever. But 32 years is a lot. The problem, well, not really problem, but there was only one show, so they couldn't really show all the adventures of Superman and his sons. But undoubtedly, we kind of saw how they inferred all that. And basically, he went on and did lots of things with his son and saved probably the world a few times with his sons. And then when he got to the point where he got weak enough that he really couldn't contribute enough, he would spend more and more time with Lois or more and more time with his dog and, or whatever. And the sons just carried on. But the cool thing was that if you're going to do that, in other words, if they had ended Superman's life and there was no legacy to carry on, that would have been bad. That would have been bad.
So all the kids they have and grandkids, they'll all be super. But I've got a funny feeling, mate. I've got a funny feeling you don't see it. It will be diluted over generations.
Yeah, of course it will. Yeah.
So after a while, after so many generations, they'll just be regular, normal human being kids, and you won't have anything anymore. Which is maybe the way it should be.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't obviously if you run the numbers in your head. I mean, the two twins were half of what Superman would have been at full strength. But the cool thing about having twins, though, that I thought was really interesting is they always work together for the most part. So two halves working together is as good as the one Superman.
It's equivalent of a Superman. That's how it could work.
Right. The grandkids, though, then would only be a quarter, not a half of a Superman. They'd only be like a quarter Kryptonian.
You don't know what powers they would have. You don't know if they would have the full range, if they could even fly.
Right.
You don't know.
Right. That's another whole, speculation. You can imagine with all those grandkids. Imagine if all of them got nothing but heat vision, and you see all the kids burning everything else.
It would have been like Homelander from The Boys accidentally killing your parents or something. Do you know what I mean? Here's a question for you, Gray. I want your opinion on this one. Hypothetically, they wanted to go more seasons. They were talking about maybe going for 7. They wanted more, but at least they got to go out on their own terms.
Yeah.
See if it went on longer. I would have liked season 4 to pan out the way that I discussed earlier on. That he somehow get Doomsday's heart, and then blah blah, and he's good for another few years, and then maybe they put that story in at the very end. Would that have been acceptable as well for you?
I was kind of thinking originally, although it didn't end up that way, that he would, like you said, slowly lose his power. But I was thinking that that might take 100 or 200 years before he loses enough of it. But the way they handled it is he lost all of it in 32, years. So if it had gone on, it would have been probably interesting because the more as it went on, the more the sons would be involved, which means you could have interesting short stories or arcs right there, or there could even be an arc where it's just the kids and not Superman, and how they, there's a lot of things you could have done, but unfortunately we're not going to see it. The only thing that I think I was telling you off the air is that both the character, I can't pronounce his name, Tyler, whatever, and
Tyler Hoechlin.
And Tucci, whatever, plays Lois. They said they both would come back to do an animated series, which would then take some of these adventures that we are talking about, I would like to see, and put it into the animated. Now, Warner Brothers hasn't said a word about that.
Because it's up to that a-hole James Gunn, which we'll rant about in another bloody video, because a Superman trailer will be cut out for the movie soon. So,
look, regardless of Gunn, I hope the Superman movie is fantastic. And let's just say let's just assume for the moment
but we won't delve in that too much, mate. You can say briefly what you want to say about that, but we will certainly should
all I'm going to say is it doesn't matter to me whether the movie ends up being stellar. or terrible, the fact is I'm still not going to forgive Gunn for some things that happened in the DC universe. Why did
100%.
they should have kept Superman and Lois going? Why? They think it's we can't have two Supermans. That's too confusing. We got to concentrate on the one. I said, no, you don't.
He's got one Batman at the moment, and he will have soon two Batmen. You can have as many Supermans as you want. You killed two perfectly good Supermen. He's worse than Lex Luthor. James Gunn's worse than Lex Luthor. He's killed two Supermen. Henry Cavill was fantastic. The way Warner Brothers shat on him was disgusting.
Yeah.
Saying you can have your job back. He's a big Superman fan, Henry Cavill. And you done that to the man? That's why Marvel made those jokes in Deadpool and Wolverine. Yeah. Because they treated him awful. He could have been the Superman for the movies, and Superman and Lois could have been the TV version, went on for longer. Mm-hmm. But you single-handedly killed two Supermen. But anyway, Greg, we could come back and have a rant about that another time, certainly. So, I mean, there's not a hell of a lot more we can say about that. Yeah. They ended it on their own terms. It was sad. It was beautiful. It was great. It could have been more. All the above for me. We will probably come back again for... this will be very raw and straight after we watch episodes and give our opinions and come on and do specials. Mm-hmm. If there's anything you like in sci-fi that we could potentially discuss, or the superhero kind of genre, not so much the comics, like I say, I don't really read them. I watch the stuff based off the comics. Then please let us know. Gray and I will wrap up there. Bravo to the guys over Superman and Lois. They've done themselves proud. Well done. That's how you make a Superman show, James Gunn. That's all I'll say, my man. That's how you do it. We'll wrap up there, Grace. Thank you very much, mate. We'll be back soon. And until then, say goodbye to people, Grace.
Bye-bye. Live long and prosper.
And before we go, of course, please come over and talk to us on our Discord. How can I forget? Discord.gg/Extreme Gaming Podcast, because we talk about gaming mostly, but we have a Capes and Phasers channel there as well. So come and chat to us about the finale. You just put a spoiler alert before it, or you can do a spoiler thing with a comment. Please do that just for the next week or two. And come and chat to us about all things sci-fi, superhero, gaming, whatever you want. It's all good. But yeah, we'll definitely wrap up there. Thank you, and we'll see you soon. Bye-bye.